Alright, let's dive into it. The top 10 slashers of the 1980s. Now, one caveat to this list for me is I'm only putting in one entry from a film franchise. So if they have multiple films, I'm putting in the one that I thought was either the best or the most impactful. But let's get to this list. Number 10 is Sleepaway Camp. Sleepaway Camp is a very campy slasher. It is a very blah-ish when it comes to the kills. However, it does have like the best twist in a movie. If you know, you know. And if you haven't seen it, then go watch it. It's streaming everywhere. It has a great little subtle thing that happens that really throws people for a loop. So if you haven't seen it, number 10, Sleepaway Camp. Number 9 is going to be The Prowler. So this is another slasher, obviously, and it has taken place where we have this World War II, I believe it is, veteran who is in the present day, and we have a killing spree. The reason why I put this one on the top 10 list is simply because of Tom Savini's special effects in this movie. They are superb. I mean, it is in all of his movies. I would say if you have not watched this, you have to watch it alone for the special effects, but the storyline itself is not bad. It's typical 80s slasher. Number 8, The Funhouse. Brought to us by Tobe Hooper, the same guy who brought us the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And this one is, I don't know if I want to say it's the first one, but it's like the earliest Funhouse, let's go to a carnival and things kind of turn up real bad type of movie that happened, which are always fun. I know in the 2010s, I think it was, we got like 5-6 movies that are like this one. This is the original. This one is dark. The clown in this one is top notch. The acting in it is pretty good, and this is 80s fun horror slasher, and because of the Funhouse aesthetic alone, if you have not seen it, go take the time to sit down and watch it. It's also streaming everywhere to watch. Number 7 comes in right at the tail end of the 80s, and it was one of my hidden gem movies if you've seen my videos before, and that is Intruder. Intruder, the movie that was marketed to have Bruce Campbell from Evil Dead. Do not expect to see Bruce Campbell in this movie a whole hell of a lot. But it's fun. The movie is just fun. It's a bunch of people locked inside of a supermarket. Nobody knows who's going around killing each other, so it's almost like a whodunit. And you do get some awesome supermarket kills in this movie. So for that alone, it's fun. It's a hidden gem. If you have not seen Intruder, check it out. It is a great movie. Number 6 is my first entry of the Big Slasher 3. And that's Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. So there were a lot of Halloween movies I could have chosen when it came to the 80s. But to me, Halloween 4 is the best one of the 80s. And it's one of the best ones in the entire franchise in general. We get the return of Michael Myers after part 3 didn't have him. You get some great kills. There's a very, very memorable kill in the very beginning of this movie that has always stuck with me. It's just an awesome kill. But even the characters that you get in this movie are good. The acting is all good. And the ending of this movie is my favorite, maybe second favorite ending in the entire Halloween franchise. Number 5. The least talked about movie, I think, of the 80s that is actually a really, really good movie. And that's Maniac. If you have not seen Maniac, you see a guy go on a killing spree of a bunch of women. And he does some scalping and some other things to them. It's weird, it's dark, it's gritty, it's in your face. It's one of those movies that kind of feels like this could be really happening. And it gives it that little extra layer of like authenticity. And obviously special effects done by Tom Savini, the king of the 80s. If you have not sat down and watched Maniac from the 80s, you should. If you've seen the remake, you should watch the 80s version, obviously. But give it a shot if you haven't seen it. Number 4 is The Burning. the movie that decided it was going to do very similar things to Friday the 13th. We have kids out camping. And this one is a revenge story as well for a guy who was, you guessed it, burned. But this one moved up ahead of kind of the other blah, blah, blah slasher movies of the 80s, mainly for the raft scene. If you've seen the movie, you know what it is. If you haven't seen the movie, you have to watch it for the raft scene alone. There is some insane fun stuff that happens in there. And guess what? Yet again, Tom Savini. Who would have guessed? Number 3, which is going to be the last Tom Savini entry in this one because, like I said, he ruled the 80s. And that is Friday the 13th Part 4, the final chapter. Which, to me, this is my favorite Friday the 13th movie in the entire franchise. Obviously, you guys have all seen Jason. If you haven't watched all of his movies, I mean, you have to give them all a chance. They're fun. They're inventive. This one is the one that has kind of the same storyline going in a sense, but it has by far the best acting in the entire movie. You get some awesome dance scenes in this movie. You get some awesome kills in this movie. And then obviously you get the ending of this movie that was meant to be the final chapter. But overall, good movie, fun, campy, horror, slasher, everything that you expect from an 80s slasher. This movie has it in it. Number 2. And this one's near and dear for me, so if you know me, you know what this is. And this one is Child's Play. I know a lot of people think Child's Play would be lower on the list, but to me it's number 2 because it kicked off the longest running storyline for a slasher killer ever. It's still technically going today. They canceled season 4, but Don Mancini's making another movie. He's working on it, so it's going to continue in the same line. It's a fun movie. It's a whodunit. You don't know who did it in the beginning is how they try to lead you, but you know. And then you just get that iconic scene, which to me is still just amazing how they pulled that off in 1988 when she decides to look in his back and there's no batteries. And you get that head spin, and then you get the words, and then he finally animates and comes to life where you get to see him full-fledged and coming at him. And then the amount of stuff it takes to keep a good guy down at the end of this movie, insane. This is number 2. But if you know I love Child's Play, then what the heck took spot number 1? Nightmare on Elm Street. Hands down, this is the best slasher of the 1980s. This one has the best storyline. This one has the best acting. This one has insanely awesome special effects. And this one did give birth to one of the big 3, as everybody knows them. But to me, the best of the big 3 when it comes to slasher villains in Freddy Krueger. Nancy, to me, probably 1 or 2 when it comes to one of the best final girls ever in a horror movie. She's smart, she's witty. We get a Home Alone-esque ending towards the end because she's so smart and knows what to do. This is 80s horror at its finest when it comes to slashers. So don't forget to join me in the next video. I'm going to hit up the 90s and I'm going to keep moving up the decades, and I'm even going to cover what's came out recently. This is going to be a fun little list that I'm working on and some other stuff in the future. So don't forget to check them out. Rest in peace.